there was some lunch pail-y names at that Senior Bowl too. I don't know if you saw some of those tight ends.
Oh my God. Those tight end names are, who are these guys?
I haven't even seen them yet, but I can't wait now.
Czechs and Eastern Europeans and shit.
Right. It was super awesome lunch pail-y stuff. Nate Borkircher.
That's Boer, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh my God.
Boerkircher.
Kir. Wow.
Yep.
Matthew Hibner.
Hibner. Matthew
Oh
Hibner.
my-
What about John Michael Gillenborg?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
That's a gigantic lunch pail is all I'm saying.
It's shaped like Thor's hammer.
It's
Right.
just, there's no color on it. It is just stainless steel or thick aluminum, maybe.
Hibner is definitely waiting until marriage, and when he does, he is only going to partake in missionary. Matthew
Right.
Hibner,
Right.
that is a guy that only partakes
yeah.
in missionary.
Absolutely.
Now, Gillenborg is hitting it from the back, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
That dude eats ass.
Sights and sounds and edges found, you will now get down with the Underground. Dynasty Underground is back in your life, in our brand new home, on the clock, Fantasy. Make sure you subscribe to that OTC Fantasy YouTube channel and on your favorite platforms. We are so excited to get into it and tell you all about what we have planned. But first, we're going to start with the content, and I got to introduce the crew. And if you're down with OTC, then you know me. I'm Trav. I'm hosting a West Coastin' as usual. And clocked in with me, as always, the wise man. Fresh off a nice episode of Undrafted, I might add, with Pat Fitzmaurice. Are we buzzing or what, Jax? Because I'm buzzing.
We are back. We are so back. I will say I felt, and I don't know, you guys have been potting now for a little while here. You're amateurs, you know, that you've joined the club. Joking, but no, I'm joking. But I felt super like off the game. So it was great to have Pat with me. He's such a pro. It was great. I'm glad to hear it was a great show, but really excited to get back into it and start the rookie stuff. And also, before you get over to Joe, I saw the JJ Zachariason, Matt Harmon pod, which was something I actually referenced previously, which was the JJ Zachariason pod that they basically talked about, which I thought was cool. I thought the JJ pod kind of was something that caught my attention, and I think we're going to touch base on that in a little bit. So I'm super excited to be back, really just sharing all this awesome content with the listeners.
Yeah, that was some good discussion, and we all kind of we all separately had kind of chimed in on it on Twitter just today. And so, yeah, you mentioned in the group chat that we're going to bring that to the people, and so I'm excited to talk about that too.
Yep.
And in the corner office with the view, I just want to let the people know that this man, within the last like hour and a half or so, got off a plane and went right to the corner office with the view. He still got the button up on from his
Pinky's
conference.
all the way up.
Oh my God, hitting the roof.
Getting off the plane with the pinky up, the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Joe Quavius, Kuvetakis. I missed you guys in general, man. Like, how the hell are you doing, Joe? Bunch of change in life, but we're excited to get into the OTC era.
Oh my God. So excited about OTC. It's been a long time since we potted. You know, I feel like so much has happened in football. So much has happened in the world. And like, you know me, I don't like to get political and talk about that sort of stuff really in the public eye, but we have to touch on this. How the fuck did Bill Belichick not make the first ballot Hall of Fame? What was that?
I mean,
that is a lack of integrity from voters. And I don't know if he's actually a voter, but did you guys see Ryan Leaf come out and say legit? He said, I am a voter. And this is where people's like revenge and vengeance comes out. Go look at his Twitter. I don't know if he's actually a voter
shit
or
I've
not,
ever heard in my life.
especially from Ryan Leaf too. Like, you're basically saying I'm not voting with integrity.
You don't have to have revenge on anybody except maybe, the bottom of a fucking vodka bottle. I mean, nobody beat you except yourself, pal. I mean, you were not in play to beat or get beaten.
Either way, that's what it has to be.
As if there isn't enough injustice in the world, then we get Shedeur Sanders, Pro Bowler. What happened?
We're in the upside down.
Have people lost their minds? Have people lost their minds? Coach with 6 Super Bowls doesn't get into the Hall of Fame. A kid with the Hall of Fame dad goes to the Pro Bowl for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everyone's lost their minds.
I don't even know if
we're
like
here to bring
nepotism
sanity
reaches
back.
that far.
Yeah, we're here to bring sanity back. So, anyways, I just needed a vent.
I love that. And you thought it was going to be me that brought up the Bill Belichick thing. Look, I tweeted it and then I saw someone else echoed it. I think I sent it to you, this cool Instagram thing where basically it looks worse for the Hall of Fame than it does for Bill Belichick. Like, them not doing this and getting him in on the first ballot doesn't like hurt Bill Belichick. What do you think he gives a shit? Like, oh no, what's going to happen? Like, he doesn't care. But it does make the Hall of Fame and the voters look ridiculous and petty, because of course that's what it is. There's nothing else to say. And I'll go one step further, talk about the cheating, which has always been a problem for me, because as a fan, like, ultimately, what have they been accused of cheating? They've been accused of deflating balls, which is the biggest piece of bullshit ever. First of all, if the ball was 0.01 under that's the reason you lost? Like, is that ever like, I've never played in a sport where I've been like, we would have won, but what had happened is that the 0.01 pounds of pressure, like, you start saying, you sound like a complete moron. So that in and of itself is the dumbest argument I've ever heard in my entire life. And if you say it, you're lost. Secondly, and finally, it's ridiculous.
Me and Joe are both thinking it. Me and Joe, like, you were full Patriots fan.
Oh my God, Jax in rare form right now.
But listen,
ready
it is
to defend
ridiculous.
Everything about the Patriots. I'm sorry I brought it up. You know
Bill
what? This is why I don't talk about politics.
You gave me the red meat. Let me eat. Hey, listen, it's sitting on the plate. It's got salt and pepper on it. I'm ready to go. And then Bill Cowher and Jimmy Johnson both came out and said, of course, everybody was trying to steal signs. Everybody was doing even the Spygate thing was really something that every single team was doing. And the only teams that weren't doing that were the shitty teams who couldn't figure out what the fuck they were doing in the first place. So any team worth their salt was trying to steal signs. That's how it works. Now they don't do that because they all have the microphone into the players' helmets. So they don't have to send signs. The fact of the matter is that's been going on for years. And you're telling me someone with a cell phone couldn't have recorded? Like, they were recording games.
It's stupid.
Oh my God. They recorded the actual game. It's ridiculous. So the cheating thing, even specifically on its own, is ridiculous, because Indianapolis Colts have been pumping in crowd noise. That's more cheating than anything else the Patriots have done. And you know what? Good for them, I say. If you're trying to win, you're taking every edge you can in a multi-billion-dollar industry. Good for them to try. If you get caught, you get slapped. But don't come to me with this holier than thou. Bill Belichick is somehow a bigger cheater than every other NFL coach and player, because he's not. He was great, and that's that.
I think everybody agrees this is a joke. Again, all you had to say was, they won 3 Super Bowls after Deflate. Or Brady won 3 Super Bowls after Deflategate. So it wasn't the balls.
You fired me up there. You got me going.
Touched a wee nerve there, Joe.
Yeah. No. Do not get Boston fans revved up, especially now. Oh, the us against the world thing that Boston fans have is
fun.
Something to behold. Yeah. You guys are all insufferable when you're in a championship.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm glad
I might be a little bit
couple years ago.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, great way to kick off the show, boys. Yeah, it's fun. And another new thing for
put that one on TikTok.
Yeah. Pew pew. We are now, our audio podcast at least, is on the Player Profiler podcast network. So you
Maybe
can
not
find us
anymore
there.
after that rant.
Yeah. Dependent on whether Matt hears what Jax just ranted on or not. But yeah, we're on the Player Profiler podcast network. Super thankful. I think that's just strengthening a relationship that was already in place, Jax, with your show. And so I think that's a good thing. And so we're excited to work with them. And with that, we will be right back after paying some bills. And thank you for listening. Back with Dynasty Underground. Guys, it's time to get into the content. I'm so excited to do it. It's been weeks since we've been in the studio. And Jax, we're going to kick it off with what you mentioned at the top as kind of our question of the week. We've been doing that a little bit lately. And this isn't necessarily a question that was posed to us, but more of a conversation that was sparked by JJ Zacharyson and Matt Harmon on Matt's show, Reception Perception. So why don't you kind of set the groundwork for what that conversation was about, Jackson? We'll talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many different ways to come at this. I'll try and be succinct, something I'm not very good at. The idea is that the wide receiver 2 is going away in the NFL, and JJ on his pod talked about how the tight end usage is going up, tight end targets, etc. And then subsequently on the Matt Harmon show, JJ went a step further and talked about how the sort of slot only wide receiver is going away. How he looked at how many players in the NFL played at least 300 snaps or 300 routes. I think it was routes, actually, whatever, snaps, routes, either way. And were in the slot for 50% of their snaps, 60%, or 70%. And over the course of the last 25 years, there have been an average of 11 players who did that at the 70% rate. This past year, there was only 3. So that sort of slot-only player who plays a lot but only plays in the slot guy is no longer a player in the NFL so much, is not getting that role. And, what was cool is that Coder went in and talked about a trend toward that 12 personnel and that 13 personnel, which is something that, JJ had mentioned on his pod. And then I also said, it's also the sort of the alpha that moves from the outside into the slot when they go through wide. So rather than bringing on a little guy, slot guy, they bring in an alpha X decoy, some sort of speed player, some sort of outside player, and then move their alpha, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, into the slot. Long story short, the question was posed, basically, what the hell do we do about this? Like, how can we exploit this trend for dynasty purposes? Was the gist of the question that was asked. And I thought it was a good question because that's actually the action. And I hope that I've got some takes, but I hope that Joe specifically thought about this a little bit. And I was wondering what you thought about that.
Well, to me, it's just a natural evolution, right? Why, we learned over the years that from the slot, you had an advantage due to mismatches, right? So it only makes sense to put better and better players in that position. And so
Right.
I think what we've just been seeing is that teams have gotten wise to that and they're putting their best player in that. And maybe they're not doing it 70% of the time, but they move guys in and out of the slot. So no one's going to get to that 70% threshold that we were used to seeing from somebody that just stays in that role, right? We talked about last offseason, Malik Neighbors being this queen chess piece that you can move all over the field. And that's, I guess 2 off seasons ago. Going into his rookie year, the reason he's so attractive is because you can move him all over the field. And that's more conducive to scoring fantasy points than your traditional X. I think what this leads to, though, is the rich getting richer at the position, right?
Agree.
The difference is the wide receiver ones become that the guys that are getting moved all over the field become that much more valuable. And, Jax, I was listening to your pod with Pat, and you talked about the power X, right? And, the power slot.
Right.
And just those dudes, right? We're saying the same thing,
yes.
Right? We're talking about the same type of player. Those are the guys we want. And I think there's a bigger and bigger disparity between the wide receiver ones and the rest of the field, right? Chris Harris calls it like the infinite sadness. And when you get to wide receiver 3 rank, because there's 60 guys that are the same thing.
Yes.
Right. I think the difference between the middle class and the upper class of wide receiver is getting far greater And that, there's maybe not even a third class. It's just all second class receivers after that.
I totally agree. I think the mistake that you might make, the incorrect inference that you take from this data and this sort of research is, oh, the slot receiver is not something I want. No, you do still want Amon-Ra St. Brown. You still want JSN. And, we talked about Puka on my show, and I was like, Puka doesn't play in the slot, but a lot of the reason that he doesn't play in the slot is because of the 12 and 13 personnel that's played in Los Angeles with the Rams and McVay. And he's not always in the slot, but he's also not just parked outside playing outside. He's moved around. He's in motion, jet sweep. They're always trying to get him those advantageous mismatches. Why? Because he's the best wide receiver on that team. And I think 100% that the way that you exploit that is by understanding that there may be a sort of a middle class squeeze, but that middle class squeeze, the rich get richer, so to speak, in the NFL too, where, the Jamar Chases are spending more time in the slot, Malik Neighbors, CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua, JSN, Amon-Ra. I mentioned on my pod, the Triple Crown winner in Cooper Kupp was a slot primary player who played way more than, just 70% of the snaps. He played 100% of the snaps almost, whatever. Not really, but you know what I mean? But a lot of those came from the slot. What number it was, who knows? But however many he wanted were in the slot, and that's where you're finding advantageous matchups. That's where, Edelman played in the slot. These were full-time players that played every snap, but found their most productive snaps against inferior corners across the middle of the field. And yeah, man, this is the way I think you exploit it, by understanding there's probably going to be a bit of a muting of the wide receiver 2, 3, 4s, where they're not, maybe there's some spikes here and there, who knows, but basically a lot of those guys are very similar to even, and those high-end guys. So if you can trade two middling players for one of these, superstars, you want to get up there and get these queen chess pieces.
I think a good analogy is like when you started to see the NBA change to this sort of positionless basketball, enterprise, right? Where it's just actually the power forward can bring the ball up the court, right? And he can run point, right? So it's positionless, it's not pigeonholed wide receivers, right? It's like anybody can move into the slot, anybody can play outside. Obviously, that's going to be harder to guard,
right,
than guys just being posted up on one side of the field forever.
And I think also, if you're looking at a player who's truly slot only, especially prospects coming into the league, there's a few of them, and we'll get there down the line. We'll talk about it on this program and mine. But I think those guys are less interesting too. It's not. Mekhi Lemon's very interesting to me because he's a queen chess piece profile, not a slot only. Even though he's a slot only, he's an Amon-Ra type slot only.
Yeah,
where it's like
Luther Burden, right? It's the same. Yeah, the same profile. Well, different kinds of players, but same profile, right? Somebody who can move around and do it all. Right?
Exactly.
That's what you want.
And yeah, a lot of these guys, I think, the definition slot only just is going to need to be going away, right? Because Amon-Ra, that he's been 50-50 for the last 3 seasons.
Right.
It's not like that, right? And it really takes a good play caller to be able to unlock that in some of these guys where maybe they weren't used that way in college necessarily. And I think guys like Amon-Ra have done that. We've seen a little bit of that with Zay Flowers, who does some really good stuff, both outside and inside. And I think a decent way for us to be able to exploit that is some of these, this is kind of a micro edge. And so it's not going to be a massive boost for your team. But some of these tight end twos on these innovative offenses, we saw Jake Tongs, we saw Colby Parkinson be extremely valuable down the stretch. We're going to see those guys in the next couple of years. That guy on Seattle potentially next year, guys, is going to be Elijah Arroyo. Look out. That guy on the Rams,
lunch pail in front of him, maybe.
That guy if Arroyo's playing a bunch of 12 personnel, we can still be happy with Arroyo if he's
Barner swings a big pail.
Totally, but if we get Arroyo who complements him really nicely, I think that's nice alongside JSN, who's that alpha. You look at the Rams, who have Terrence Ferguson, who's coming up that pipeline. When we see these teams who are stocking up on those tight ends, maybe that's a signal that they're going to be playing these matchups with the defense a lot more, because it's not necessarily a predication on using the heavier sets specifically. It's knowing that the defense is not in position to defend them being creative out of those sets, right? And so I think the tight end 2 on some of these teams is going to be a little bit of an edge at times. And to your point, Jax, just maybe we're hammer hunting a little bit more in these, not a 16 team league in your 12.
But to your point, the second tight end is actually playing ahead of slot only.
Totally,
slot
right?
only guys, right?
Exactly. Like we've been saying this with Josh Downs. We've been saying this with Jaden Reed. Like these guys are on a very fickle floor that could fall out on them at any point because they're very pigeonholed. And like, especially if like deep slot work dries up for those guys who are predominantly slot, their upside is almost nothing. And
there's a few of those guys, like you mentioned two of the ones that actually do get on the field. Jaden Reed plays a lot in the slot, but there's teams that just don't do that, where there's not a guy you can think of a team be like, I can't think of him. That's because he doesn't exist. Because you think about even like the Rams. The Rams, you mentioned Parkinson and Ferguson. There is no third wide receiver. It's Adams and Puka. And as a matter of fact, when Adams went down, they went to 13 personnel. They ran almost predominantly 3 tight ends on the field at all times. So they had their lunch pails, zigzagging across the field. They did.
That's good. That is good. I love that.
The people love it. The people.
Yeah, like keep an eye on that for your leagues and see what's happening because like you said, Jax, like Josh Downs and Jaden Reed are 2 of the good cases of that, and they have still been frustrating to have on your roster in Dynasty. So
I think especially in our tight end premium leagues, I think what this means is we're probably in that last flex spot going tight end a little more often than we used to, as opposed to, one of these, anonymous wide receivers after like 50.
Yep.
Totally. And it's very interesting too, because it also coincides with, I believe, running back targets are a little bit down over the last few years too. So it's kind of interesting that it's swung the way of the tight end and not the wide receiver.
Yep.
Okay, boys. So next topic we got here, we're going to talk. I wanted to kind of get into some of these playoff teams. Obviously, it's timely and they are kind of the hot topics.
Back to the Patriots.
No, not yet, okay. Jax. No, we're talking about the teams that were eliminated in the conference championship.
That's not us.
We'll talk about the Super Bowl teams next week.
Okay.
Settle. It's okay. You'll get your day in the sun, fella. We're going to talk about dynasty assets from both the Broncos and the Rams, the teams that went out in the playoffs. Going to have a little bit of outlooks on maybe what the teams are going to do this offseason, and then dig into some of these pieces that are on said teams. We're going to start with the Broncos, guys. It was a pretty tough ending with old Stiddy at quarterback in their final game, and is an ankle fracture for Bo Nix at the end of that win that they had there. But I think this team has some pretty nice pieces, and one of the centerpieces that we've been talking about for a while is RJ Harvey. And so I wanted to kind of start there and talk to you guys about what you think about what he did for his dynasty value this season. I think there was a lot of opportunity once J.K. Dobbins went down, but there was not as much efficiency. And I'm wondering if you guys are maybe buying off that dip, or maybe these are some signals that we need to reevaluate. Jax, why don't we start with you?
Look, I loved RJ Harvey as a prospect. Y'all know that. Mm-hmm. I don't have a ton of RJ Harvey. I thought he got it steamed up. I didn't really think he was going to be a mid to late first round pick. Even at my wildest dreams when I was touting him and telling everybody how much I loved him, I thought he was an awesome second round rookie pick. And, he goes in the second round of the NFL draft. He goes to a good team. I felt good about all that. But look, his size was always a little bit of an issue. His age was always a little bit of an issue. Those two things didn't go away because he got drafted in the second round by a good team. Those concerns are there, and they sort of showed themselves again, where I don't think he's a lead back in the NFL. I just don't. I also don't think that coaches now think of him as a lead back in the NFL, which is almost more important than whatever I think, for sure. But I think what we can read is that there was a lot of commentary, during the game by announcers and in analysis by NFL heads that RJ Harvey is not that guy for that job, and that is better in a tandem. And you know what? He was better in a tandem. He was better, playing that sort of space back, B role on that team and letting Dobbins sort of, hammer up in between there. And so I do think there's some issues there. I don't think he's got a ceiling that, and hey, this could come back to haunt me, but I think it's more likely than not his ceiling is not going to be, top, a high-end RB1. So for those reasons, I think I would be more of a sell than a buy. But that what do you guys think?
I'm pretty firmly he is an RB2. I mean, he finished this season as an RB2. I think he was running back 23 in points per game, right? So 12-ish points a game, right? So that's perfectly fine. That's worth a late first. So sure. I think that, you're not really upset about the investment. We did not see a full-blown breakout, even as the role increased. I think late in the season, in the fantasy season, he was buoyed by touchdowns and receptions to a certain extent, and that's how he was getting you there. But, in the rushing role, there was definitely something to be desired, something more to be desired. So I do agree maybe in the tandem back scenario, but I do kind of view him as projectable as a 1A in that in that scenario. So we'll see what happens with Dobbins. We'll see what happens in Denver if they bring somebody else in. I'm sure they're going to. It's either going to be Dobbins or another running back. Right. But dude catches passes. Dude has a nose for the end zone. He's still a rookie.
Awesome. I still think he's awesome. Right. So
playoffs left a lot to be desired, frankly. But I just think that we're, he didn't do anything to dissuade me after year one. I think it was you're not going to argue about your rookie running back being an RB2. That's great, right? Yep. That's what we want. So let's not get too discouraged because of the expectations that we had and just look at him for the asset that he is, which is a solid RB2. And I'm buying at the right price.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Don't overestimate this saying, oh, next is, I think you're right. Right on. Great points.
Well, I think his explosiveness is probably the saving grace, right? Is that on a limited workload, he can still pop off. We didn't see as much of that as we thought we were going to this season, right? If I was looking at some of the snap shares, and when J.K. Dobbins was in there, Harvey was consistently at 25 or less % snap share. After J.K. Dobbins, he was up over 60-65. He was getting a 60% touch share after that, but the efficiency wasn't very good as far as rush yards over expectations, and 2.3 yards after contact per attempt without J.K. Dobbins. And so when he was getting the workload, it wasn't that effective anyway. So maybe he's better suited in that role. And honestly, he has a coach that probably wants to have that kind of system in his running back room anyway. And so I am still hopeful. I don't think I'd be selling right now because I think I would be selling lower than what I think his upside can be. I think of what we saw out of Travion alongside Ramondre this year with some of that explosiveness. I think Harvey can do some of that, maybe a little bit lesser degree than Travion, but I'm still hopeful. So I think I would probably still be buying a little bit of a dip potentially off last year's price, as opposed to selling on what I think might be less than his upside.
Yeah.
Moving through the Broncos. Okay. This one might be a little bit of a rant by me, fellas, because I'm questioning whether it's time to just quit Broncos wide receivers altogether. They are so fucking frustrating to have on a team. I want to tell you that this is deep seated back to me being a Cortland Sutton truther.
I was going to say, you don't think Cortland Sutton is the key to winning a fantasy championship?
Cortland Sutton is the reason why this exists right now, buddy. And
without Cortland Sutton, we wouldn't be here right now.
We thank him for that. But back when Cortland Sutton was coming out, I was still on them, big body bitches as far as wide receivers. I wanted those big bodied contested target guys, and I have since smartened up, but this level of hatred is a little bit deep seated. He was really good down the stretch. Cortland Sutton was awesome down the stretch. He had some really, I think there was 4 of 5 games towards the fantasy playoffs where he gave you just about wide receiver 1 numbers. But the rest of the season was just pretty inconsistent. He had a couple decent stretches here and there, but he's not the alpha that Marcus Colston or Michael Thomas were in a Sean Payton offense. That's just not going to be him. And then we look at the continuous rotation of young wide receiver 2 hopefuls, which is the reason why it makes me so mad, because we see Courtland Sutton underperforming, and okay, that's opportunity. That's opportunity for somebody else like Marvin Mims, who's mad explosive, to come in and do something. We're going to draft Troy Franklin. And let me tell you guys, this is absolutely still a Troy Franklin household, but the rent's due, boys. The rent is due on the Troy Franklin household. And as a Dynasty gamer, I need to collect pretty soon or the eviction notice is coming. And I think that I think that he could do it if given the opportunity, but he just has not necessarily been given that. And we saw previously Devon Vale or Vile or whatever the fuck it was. He was a pain in the ass when he was there before he got shipped out. And now Pat Bryant is becoming a pain in the ass because he was taking some targets too, and he presents something different than some of the other guys behind Sutton present. And so my question is, who's going to be the 4th round wide receiver that they draft again this year? And why am I even going to bother investing in any of these fucking guys? Joe. Thanks for obliging that, by the way, boys. Thank you for obliging that.
I share your frustration. I still believe in Franklin. You know, he did have like a hammy injury down the stretch. But yeah, you know, he started hitting that 70-80% snap share that we wanted to see. And there was a point, certainly around the midway point of the season, where it's like you could say, hey, Franklin's actually the wide receiver 1 on this team.
Mm-hmm.
I think he got on Peyton's nerves, right? There were a few too many mistakes. There are a few too many interceptions thrown his way. And I don't know if this is like a maturity thing and he can get, gain more trust this offseason with another season in the system. But it sure does feel like somebody else is going to step into that role. He didn't take it the way we wanted him to. So it could just be like, the 2014 Saints, right? Or, 2012 Saints, right? The Meachams, the Sneeds, you never know who it's going to be on any given week. Down the stretch, it seemed like Marvin Mims had once again fallen into favor. But I don't think we want to go on that roller coaster again anyway. So I kind of think you're right, Trav. It's just like, at this point, I want to throw my hands up and back off of the situation. I'm not trading Franklin. I'm not selling. I'm not buying. I'm just stay away until we get some clarity going into next year or through the draft or free agency or what have you. But I don't have a strong take. It seems like the answer is whack-a-mole.
Well, I think the Courtland Sutton hate by Trav went a little too far because he was a wide receiver 1 this year. I mean, in PPR, he was the wide receiver 11. He was right around wide receiver 12, depending on your scoring. And that's really good. He was very, very useful. He's been I was looking back at like some dynasty ranks from like 2018. He's been undervalued his whole career because he's been giving us pretty good performance in the last 2 years. Like last year, I think he was top 15 or 16 wide receiver. This year, top 12. He's given us 2 years in a row with Bo Nix. I think we would be happy to have something in that neighborhood in the upcoming season 2026. And Troy Franklin saw 102 targets, clearly the number 2 target on this team. You're right. It's been a little bit like, are we sure like he's the favorite here? Sometimes they're like Sean Payton will just be like, you're right. Dejon Vele and freaking Mims are out there. Like, where's Pat Bryant even? He's not out there. It's very spread out sometimes, and it feels fickle. And for those reasons, you have to be very careful with Franklin. Although I do think that there's also the possibility that Franklin, could catch favor again. I think he will be a starter on this team next year. I think it's Sutton and Franklin. And then I'm not sure. Probably Pat Bryant, actually, I think is the guy. I don't think it's Mims anymore. And it's crazy because Mims so good when he's good. When he's playing, you're like, damn, this kid's good. So they really actually have a lot of weapons there. It's not a devoid of weapons situation. It's that they can really bring other guys in, if anybody's struggling or getting on, Peyton's nerves, which we know he's a little bit, quick triggered, if you will. And so that's kind of an issue in Denver. But I think I'm still in, especially on Sutton at his price. I'm buying, as evidenced as I did already, to start the OTC. And I'll do it again, damn it.
Well, yesterday's price probably isn't today's price, and so my thinking is that Cortland Sutton probably goes up a little bit in price coming off of this season, and I
Maybe.
do think
He
that
never seems to.
I think that the whole was better maybe than the sum of its parts when we look at like 3-point weeks from Cortland Sutton, a 1.6 point week. He had a 5.4, an 8. You know what I mean? Like, I think just the down weeks are so down that he doesn't feel like that number one wide receiver like other guys do. So
he had three sub 10-point games during the season. He had in week 18, you don't want to count that one, obviously, because that didn't
I'm
matter.
seeing 5, one of them being week 17, 8 points PPR.
Like, guys, Cortland Sutton's going to be 31 next season. I don't think his price is going up. I think it doesn't matter what he does.
Yeah, maybe that's a good point.
He can be a wide receiver 2, and no one's going to pay you wide receiver 2 prices for a 31-year-old wide receiver. Like, you can get him for probably a late second would be my guess. I think. Unless it's a competing team that, it depends how deep the league is and everything, but
very cheap very often.
Yeah, you can go out and get him on any team right now.
Yep.
Possibly. But I think this whole situation is just the uncertainty and the volatility of it is something that I'm not so certain on.
I don't want to. It's more boredom than anything, which is not great analysis, but I'm just bored. I'm bored with Sutton, and I want it to be Franklin, and probably not going to happen.
Joe, what's your take, and what would you recommend for Dynasty? Boring.
Give me the juice, dude. We just talked about the disparity between, how the rich are getting richer and the disparity between the elite wide receivers. It's like, I could get Sutton-like production elsewhere. I can go get Cortland Sutton. If I need to buy him at any time, I can. Not a hill I'm going to die on.
No. Okay. Lastly, Bo Nix obviously had that injury, guys. Now, it's not like an ACL or an Achilles, which I think is awesome, especially at the time of year at which he injured it, because that would have serious impact on his next season. I mean, maybe some of the mobility does take a little bit of time to get rolling in 2026 as, he gets more familiar with getting back on his new foot. But what are you guys thinking? Like, is there a little bit of a buy opportunity here? Do you think there's maybe a bit of a nothing burger because it's just like an ankle fracture and not like a catastrophic?
I view it as a nothing burger for sure. I mean, I don't think this really changes his outlook or his value or anything like that. He's young enough. I don't think this is going to affect his mobility all that much. It's kind of like a freak way that he got hurt. It's
so weird.
Shocking that it happened, but and a huge bummer.
Yeah, it's very interesting the way he got hurt. Bill Belichick, I heard, slid something under his foot when he was cutting. They're known for their cheating, so weird that happened. Thank God.
Wow.
We were looking for a couple good injuries. We got the Nico Collins one, and then we got the Bo Nix one. So we really did a great job of injuring other teams' players right when we needed it most. Here, Sam Darnold just fell in the tub. So we're doing okay.
Jax, we believe in you, dude. We believe in you.
Drew Lock.
Yeah, there's no opposition here, man.
Drew Lock. I actually do think that Bo Nix, to answer your question without being silly, I think there's pockets where Bo Nix is either overvalued or undervalued. I bet you if you go to various leagues, you'll find managers that are kind of just not in and eager to get off and maybe re-roll into a different quarterback, whether they're be selling down or selling up. And I think you could probably get some value in trading for Bo Nix. And then there's others that are going to have him, at some sort of top 6 valuation where you're like, what? And like, dude, rushing court, like the whole thing, like they'll just give you the Bo Nix thing. So I do think there's going to be, variation in the value depending on league to league, I think, for sure. I think there's people that don't really like Bo Nix and don't think of him as an elite quarterback, which is fair. He may not be. And then there's others that think he's really good. And of course he has that rushing upside. So they view him as a can't miss, locked in elite level dynasty, Superflex dynasty quarterback. So
it's interesting
depending on what league you're in.
It's interesting that you said that, Jax, because I was looking at the Cogniscenti earlier, which, teaser is going to be our dynasty market value tool. We'll get into that in a little bit on the show here, but I was looking at it and the Cogniscenti, so the market has Bo Nix at QB9 or QB8, sorry, directly ahead of Jalen Hurts at QB9, which I thought was a very, very interesting kind of back-to-back scenario. Not one that I would have. I would definitely have it the other way, probably a couple of spots in between. But it was an interesting one for me to see. So I think you were kind of spot on with how you described that based on what the market's telling us.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, boys. Now we're going to talk about the Los Angeles Rams in just 1 second. But as we must do now, we're going to pay a couple more bills first. And thank you for rejoining Dynasty Underground. We're back and we're going to talk about the almost called them St. Louis, don't call me St. Louis Rams, the Los Angeles Rams. They were just knocked out of the playoffs, obviously, against division rival Seahawks. And what I have to say, boys, was an incredible game. That game was so good to watch. The back and forth scoring, the drama, the anticipation. It was a good one. So hats off to those two teams.
The mistakes, the clock management.
Still, like, it was an exciting and
not
entertaining
kicking a field goal, not
watch.
going for two. And also the Rams, another team that Bill Belichick has beat twice in Super Bowls. So just circle back to this Bill Belichick.
Thank you for that. Yeah,
you're welcome.
That's
Twice.
Great. Twice.
Yeah,
Yeah, great. Didn't know that. Yeah. But anyway, entertaining game nonetheless, guys. And now they got to go packing into the offseason. Lots of questions around this team. Obviously, Matthew Stafford is getting older. Devontae Adams is getting older. We saw some change in the running back room, guys. So why don't we start at the quarterback position and just talk about what we think about Stafford? Because, like, I think that getting so close to the Super Bowl is going to make him come back for another one. Seeing what they've got on this team, seeing the defense that's across from him is probably a big piece of that puzzle. Because if he's going to have to score 45 points a game, I don't know if he's thinking too hard about that. But I think if he can go out here, I mean, he is throwing 40 touchdowns anyway. There's still gas left in the tank. I think he's coming back, guys. What do you think?
I think so. Joe, this was one of our best takes this offseason, was targeting this Rams offense. Puka being a stud, Devontae Adams and Stafford late. Those who followed that recipe are absolutely smitten with their team. And on top of it, they might get year two. We weren't sure if he was even going to play this year. There was a lot of questions, his back, this, that, and the other. Look, he was great. MVP season, obviously the best quarterback in the league, one notch ahead of Drake May, who's a New England Patriot. Just thought I'd throw that one in there. But no, I'm only teasing. But seriously, right now, I think you look at Matt Stafford. I think we'll have the exact same take as last year, except it'll be at a different valuation. We'll have to see what the market thinks of Stafford and Devontae. But yeah, man, just absolutely found money. And I do think they both come back. Interestingly enough, watching Devontae after the loss was very emotional. You could tell this one mattered to him. You know, sometimes players, you can see they're like, whatever, I'm out of here anyway. That was not their sentiment. They asked McVay, would you like to have Stafford back? He goes, what kind of stupid ass question is that? Of course I want him back. So look, this was a team that was on edge for losing. They thought they had a Super Bowl here. They really did think they were going to win the Super Bowl. I think you're right. I think the hunger's there. They got 2 first-round picks. They're ready to go. I think they're all back. Put the band back together one more year.
I tend to agree, although I will say, like, had they won, he would have retired for sure.
Probably.
I think the most likely way that this plays out is there's going to be a question mark all season. He's going to be deciding. It's like the same with a lot of these guys at the end, right? Just like, oh, I don't know. I'm not going to show up to training camp. I need to talk to my family. My neck hurts. My back hurts.
Yeah, right. My neck and my back.
The thing that gives me pause is, if you guys remember, at that last game in the regular season, like, Stafford had his like whole family down there and they were on the field and they were hugging. It was almost like the last game in LA. So I don't know. It kind of seemed like a moment like, hey, this is the last game. We're all here. Right. So I think that probably is what it was intended to be, out of belief that they're going to win a Super Bowl. That being said, knowing that they're this close and they have these 2 first-round picks, to your point, I think it's going to be hard for Stafford to walk away. I think he's like a borderline Hall of Famer right now.
I think he is.
Not to bring up sore subjects, but
I mean, it's hard to get in there. I'll tell you
yeah.
that much.
I think if he wins, I think if he wins one more Super Bowl, 2 should really get it done. Anything beyond that should be a shoo-in. Anything beyond that should be a shoo-in, but 2 should really get it done.
Right. Unbelievable.
Well, I think it's just because Stafford's just not a cheater, I think
That's right.
He'll be good because he's just not a cheater,
Yep.
You don't cheat,
I don't know.
You get in,
He does throw a lot of no-look passes. It kind of feels like cheating.
That's cheating, really, in my book. Absolutely.
Yeah, because we're all normies and we can't do that.
He's tricking the defense. That's pretty shady. No, so I tend to agree. And yeah, I'm obviously have a lot of Stafford in my portfolio and really hope he plays one more year.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I
By the way,
think
it's the same thing as these holier than thou baseball guys who don't vote in Barry Bonds and Manny Ramirez into the Baseball Hall of Fame because they did steroids, supposedly. Let me just tell you that not only did everyone in the major leagues do steroids, everybody trying to make it into the major leagues was doing steroids. I had a friend who tried out for like the Mets and Sox when he graduated from college. He was a left-handed pitcher. He shows up, he sees other dudes he knows, and these guys never sniff the league. They walk up to him, they go, "Hey, how you doing, man? Yeah, good. You juicing?" And he goes, "No." And they go, "You're gonna try it without?" Good luck, man. Like everybody was juicing. These guys were juicing who were low level nobodies. Everybody, left-handed relief pitchers, middle relievers were juicing. Everybody was juicing. So Manny Ramirez and Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame too. Don't get me started on that one either. God,
totally. And there's so many factors outside of that too that like to say that the only reason they did that is because of that is like crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
it's just stupid. They were the best hitters you've had. Like if you watch Barry Bonds hit, you're like, you know what? He wouldn't be able to do that unless. What are we talking? It's like ridiculous.
Yeah, turning on a 98-mile-an-hour fastball is something that if you can do that,
he would have just hit him into the stands, not into the ocean.
Yeah,
maybe, but,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And that's why Bill Belichick belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he probably would have just got 5 if he didn't.
Bill Belichick was out there in a kayak catching those balls, I believe.
Okay, maybe a little bit more fun. This running back room, guys.
Yeah.
Joe, I know that vibes were fucking high
Huh?
off the Blake Corum that we saw this season. Interesting room. Kyren got the contract. Corum was worked in almost full split throughout the season, guys. And Corum looked way better than Kyren Williams as far as explosiveness and big playability. But of course, the trusty old maybe half lunch pail, Kyren Williams. I don't know.
Adopted lunch pail? I don't know. Something.
He fucking plays like it though. Like he does everything right. McVay loves the dude.
Yeah.
Like you see him at
first
the goal
in,
line.
last out, man. He's
he
first
is an
in,
incredible goal line runner. You see his vision at the goal line. It's
Yep.
fucking like he knows
he's
what
not
he's doing.
fast, but that's right. Yeah. Not athletic, but knows where he is on the field at all times. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, real coach's player. But anyway,
knows the playbook in and out, does Kyren. Yep.
Are we done?
I hope so. But it's true. Corum was way better.
So much
Joe,
better. And
moment.
it's just he's not as trusted.
Yeah, no, his efficiency down the street, his EPA per play was off the charts. And sorry, I don't have that in front of me right now, but that was like one of the just jarring differences. He was more or less, one of the top running backs in the league down the stretch in terms of efficiency. We still saw the snap share heavily in Kyren's favor down the stretch, but what we saw was the rush attempts even out. So Kyren was still beating him out in snap share, still in there on more passing downs, but on rush attempts, by the end of the year, it was getting closer to a 50-50 split, where it was still like 60-40 and snap share ish. That being said, yeah, of course I'm excited about Corum. That's exactly who I thought he was a better Kyren Williams. And I think we saw that play out. I would like to see that trend continue. And then, we've also got our boy Jarquez Hunter somewhere back there. Kind of seems like this is the trend with McVay, so we should take heed. Like, he just buries running backs for at least a year, it seems like. And then once they've gained a certain amount of trust, and they get in that circle, then they start to see more playing time. So I really wish they hadn't re-signed Kyren to this longer-term contract. And I think it's going to be hard to get out from under that contract this offseason, but next offseason they can.
Yes.
Hard to see how this is going to play out. I think we're just holding both. The problem is neither allows the other to be like a league-winning type asset without an injury, and we're not wishing that upon anyone. But I think that they're both more or less very firmly. I was flexing Corum, from let's say week 13 on, week 12 on, something like that. He was a very usable asset and helped me in the playoffs on a lot of teams.
Totally. And we're still buying Jarquez, right?
Yeah, he's probably pretty free at this point.
Totally.
I think you're going to be able to get him for real cheap. So
I was going to say buying. I don't know about just sort of getting. Like,
yeah, totally.
You shouldn't have to pay anything to get him. I mean, really, it's one of those things.
Like a fourth,
like a fourth. No, just something? When you do a trade and you're doing a trade with someone, you just be like, yeah, he just has to be in there, and they'll be like, whatever, it's fucking fine. Yeah, like that's where he's at.
That's actually a good strategy. I'm writing that down. I'm going to go get a bunch of Jarquez Hunter for free.
Yeah. Totally. It should be free. You don't have to pay anything for Jarquez Hunter. Yeah.
Well, and if by the way, the field in the McVay offense, he's paying off.
Can I ask you guys just throw this in the middle of the show? The Travis Hunter thing. Did you guys? I mean,
boy, did we nail that one or what?
A little bit, but we nailed a lot of stuff. We can grandstand and victory lap all the hell we want, but I'm just saying, like, we probably need to. I mean, how do you sell? What are you doing with Travis Hunter? I guess is my point. Like, we play in mostly leagues where people are going to see this coming a mile away. I had, posited that you should probably try and put him into a much larger trade where the other, manager will sort of see him as a valuable piece to get from this to that. And, you put a first, a second, and a Devontae Smith, and Puka is coming your way. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
they have to think he's free. They have to think he's free, but you have to know that you're getting more back.
Sure, you know what I mean?
Like, they think they're pulling the wool over on you a little bit, getting Travis Hunter for nothing.
Yeah, I don't have to get rid of him, so I haven't thought about it at all because zero shares in Dynasty. Baby. I had a little bit in redraft, some in best ball, but none in Dynasty because that was just not a price I was willing to pay for a maybe. That being said, somebody did try that on me. I think it was Travis Hunter and somebody else for Marvin Harrison Jr. And I was like, oh, that's nice, but I know what you're doing.
but that's the point, is that the fact that you knew what they were doing only speaks to the point that if someone doesn't know, they might be like, you know what, actually, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, sure, definitely try it on all your league mates and try and get anything for him right now because, it's trending like wide receiver 4 on that team. I think everybody's
cornerback 3 is the real problem.
Yeah.
Like, they just came out that an article came out that said he's going to primarily play defense. And they'll have packages for him on offense. Well, that's not going to work.
Sounds like they threw away a couple first-round picks for no reason, huh?
Yes.
So, like, as far as like pick value, we're talking about throwing him in a trade.
Second round. That's the most you can.
Yeah.
You think you can get a second?
Probably I was going to say, would you give him up for the third? Like, I think a 2 is dicey. Would you give him up for the third? Because I don't think I would.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't. The name values
also
27 third, maybe actually.
But I would also absolutely take a second. It's weird. It's like there's a firm line, and not taking the third, I feel like would just feel like such waving the white flag. Like the upside is still high enough where you can't do it, but it sucks because he's just burning a roster spot on your team and he's not even playing offense.
Because here's the thing: if you throw him into a package deal, someone will mentally value him as a second in a package. They're not going to be like their brain won't be able to value him as only a third, because basically a third is almost anybody will just throw in a third. Like, so if you're saying, I'm giving you a Devontae Smith and a first, and then you add a third, or you add Travis Hunter to the deal to sweeten it for the other person, they're going to prefer the Travis Hunter package to the one with the third. Just telling you how that's going to work,
Okay, boys, we're diving into it. Let's get into the Cogniscenti here, because I'm looking at recent trades with Travis Hunter. Within the last 2 weeks, 2 people have sold him for a 2026 first straight up.
Is this in the show right now?
Yeah.
Okay, you just got very close. It's like you were like,
I know, it's because the reason I got really close is because it's on my laptop monitor, which is way smaller. So I had to.
It's like a Busta Rhymes music video.
Is this a bit? I don't know if this is a bit.
Break your neck.
You're like,
break your neck. That hurt.
It looked like it hurt.
Did it look cool?
It
did.
It looked good.
Did I nail it?
Yeah,
it was
good.
Incredible.
Cool.
I wouldn't even think of trying such a thing. You look like
this is why I need to watch on YouTube, folks.
Truman Show.
I love Busta Rhymes. So yeah, I just got close because apparently I'm getting old and I can't see it as well. So
I was hoping you were looking at the Cogniscenti when I saw you like perk up, lean forward. This is what our new tools are going to do to you. You are going to lean forward in your chair. It's like that meme. It's like that meme.
And just the additional value that it adds, right? It's nice for us, even on the show, when we're talking about something, to be able to be like, okay, we can find this stuff because we have this stuff. So shout out Coder for that. All of these other deals, aside from those 2 that I mentioned, are, as you said, Jax, like packaged up deals, right? This one's kind of nice for the other person. Somebody got Tet for Travis Hunter and Isaiah Likely. I'm thinking maybe that's a tight end premium potentially, because that seems fucking crazy to me.
Not a good deal. Prime.
Yeah, but there's still a bunch of deals with seconds and firsts coming in with Travis Hunter.
What date? How recently? Like
within the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm talking about the news came out 2 days ago.
Yeah, it was like Monday or something. Yeah,
that he's playing cornerback, so it'd have to be something that's subsequent to that news. This week deals for sure.
Right. Yeah, 2026 first on January the 25th, 4 days ago.
Just before the news. Nice.
I will say,
yeah, it was just before. Fuck.
The person who offered me Travis Hunter for Marvin Harrison did it like 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
But anybody who's thinking about this game just looks at the wide receiver room in Jacksonville. Let's see, they traded for Jacoby Myers. Parker Washington broke out, and DJ's not going anywhere.
Yeah, unless
Why the hell would I want Travis Hunter, right?
Yeah.
So the news is, I mean, anybody who made those trades was not paying attention to what happened down the stretch where, his role, the need for him became obsolete,
that's right. As I mentioned on the show, and I'll say it again here, it's like, even if they said he's a wide receiver, it's not looking good.
Yeah.
The news only exacerbates things.
You can't ignore what happened with Parker Washington down the stretch. That guy's on the field now.
Yep.
Yeah. He's awesome too. Awesome.
He looked really good.
And Jacoby Myers changed their season. That
yes,
Trevor Lawrence, we were crapping all over Trevor Lawrence first half of the season. The moment they traded for Jacoby Myers, it's like all these easy buttons became available for him, and the whole offense started clicking. That's what Jacoby Myers did for that team. There was you draw a direct line to their offensive success when they traded for Jacoby Myers. There's an immediate change.
Facts.
Yeah.
Faxies. Okay, boys. Now we're going to talk about OTC.
Okay.
And then we'll get into a little bit more Cogniscenti stuff, because we did have some people that so graciously sent us some names that they want to see some trades that have happened recently and for us to talk about them. So we will do that. But yeah, first we got to talk about OTC, man, because it's a big change for us guys. And it's been quite the project for us over the last few weeks. And I would like to say that we have done a ton of work over the last few weeks since we decided to go on this endeavor, and couldn't be happier to be doing it with you guys, as well as we're doing it with Coder. And we've got some of our other team members as well that we previously worked with. So don't worry about that. But It's going to be so much fun, guys. We are not only bringing over the shows that we had before, the Dynasty Underground and the Undrafted, and of course we had our Dynasty rankings that we would publish every single year in the Patreon and with the Discord people. Well, we're bringing all of that and more over to On the Clock Fantasy. We are going to have those same offerings, but we're going to have a fully fitted Dynasty website for all of our loyal listeners and followers and new listeners and new followers and Dynasty gamers alike to immerse themselves into. It's going to be awesome. Like, Coder has been working incredibly hard on building a bunch of these tools, and he couldn't be happier about getting them into other people's hands.
Yeah.
It's going to launch a little bit later this spring. So right now you're going to find us on the YouTube channel and on the social media. We've got Instagram, TikTok, and of course, Twitter. Find us there, OTC Fantasy _ OTC.fantasy on TikTok. But later this spring, guys, we're launching the website, and it's going to have some subscription tools for Dynasty gamers. Going to have things like Leon AI, our NFL data search engine, where you ask it what you want and it gives you the results. We're going to have just a standard NFL data engine where you can filter tons of different stats. There's a custom charts tool on there, weekly reports for all sorts of different stats. We also got the college prospect data engine, and this is kind of like our baby a little bit because it's derived mostly from the data model that we have been putting out, mainly for wide receivers. We're going to be offering a quarterback model as well this year, and that's coming along with us to On the Clock as well. And it's going to be blown out into a full-fledged tool on the website that you can dig through to find your player comps, your college data, all of that stuff to prep you for the rookie draft. You guys know that's our bread and butter, and we are going to offer what you need to go along with our content to be successful. We're going to have dynasty market values in the Cogniscenti like we talked about. We're going to have a trade center that includes a trade calculator. You can enter in your league and you can actually put together real trades from your leagues and see what the values are with our rankings and market value. Also a database like we've been looking at where you can find trades. So, I mean, I could talk about this, as you can probably tell, for about an hour, just continuing to dote on all of the things that we've been working on. But guys, I'm going to give the floor to you. Talk about how excited you are. Talk about, maybe what you're most excited to share with the people, and what you think about the journey and what you want for OTC.
Go ahead, Joe.
Sure. Well, first I want to say, I'll always be grateful to the Undroppables for giving me my entry into this industry and my first platform. And it's how I met the three of you that we've gone on this venture together, and so many other wonderful people that, we love and are coming with us. So grateful for that and very excited about this next chapter. I want to kind of touch on what Jay said earlier pre-show when we were talking, and, a little bit of what Jack said too, right? Jay was, more or less thinking, listen, this is your one-stop shop as a dynasty player. That's what we're creating. Prospects, models, college data, profiles, sortable stats, an AI engine, just everything you need. And then, Jax, I thought you said something that was really cool and accurate, right? It's like, a lot of people put out sort of a rookie guide, right? Our website is the rookie guide, right? We are very dynasty centric, very rookie centric, and it is in and of itself a rookie guide. So that's not something you have to order. That's just something that is part of.
That's what we do, right?
Yeah, that's what we do. So I'm really excited about it. I'm super grateful to Jay and Trav, who have been doing so much of this back end work, right? I feel like I'm sort of useless in that regard, but hopefully I can sell a little bit. And I'm very excited to give my input and help where I can. But it's freaking cool. Everything I've seen, everything I've touched has been really freaking fun to play with. I'm using a lot of the data right now as we speak. I just sorted Blake Corum and Kyren Williams per game, on a per game basis while we're sitting here talking on our new AI tool. Just whipped it up really quickly, and anybody's going to be able to do this as soon as they figure out how to use it. So I'm pumped, and I think it's going to give our listeners and our website visitors a huge edge if they're thinking about it from a game theory standpoint, like I think is the type of listener we attract.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And, look, Trav's doing amazing work. Jay's doing amazing work. And Joe, you shouldn't feel left out. We are using your credit card for all the bills. So thank you so much. Did you not tell him? Wait.
Little peek behind the fourth wall for the listener there.
I thought you told him. Anyway, we'll circle back to that when we're off the air. I don't want to get upset. This is the value I bring, these terrible jokes. But actually, the big thing for me is, the Undroppables was something that I joined, and then subsequently it gave me what it was supposed to be able to give anybody who wanted to get that from it, which was an opportunity to have a platform. And I'm grateful beyond anything, because this was a dream to do this. I didn't care if I was popular or not, or I didn't really care if people are listening. I even said last year, if just the guys in the underground league were listening, I'd still do the show. It's so much fun. So this is all supposed to be fun. But then when it really came down to it as to what was it that we wanted to do, is wanted to create something that was really dope. And that if I were a Dynasty player, I am a Dynasty player. If I were a Dynasty player, I would want to have this. And so we kept talking about it. And, how many times did I say, no, it's got to be like this? And I don't even know what I'm talking about in terms of creating these things. It's very hard for me sometimes, but I know it's got to be something that the user really cares about and is like, no, that's the shit, man. That's the way to go. And the cool thing is Jay is that guy. He is a Dynasty player. He knows it like we know it, like it, the listener, the person who's listening to this, who's a degenerate Dynasty gamer. Jay's that guy with you. So he has all these skills and abilities, and he's bringing these tools that he's had sort of in his back pocket. He's been doing this for years. And so we wanted to partner with him and wanted to bring him, and wanted to make him sort of a centerpiece, if you will, of helping us create the thing that we felt was most useful for Dynasty players. And then it's really cool too, because even if you're not a Dynasty player, who isn't a draftnik? Who doesn't like cool shit? Who doesn't like stats? Who doesn't like, all this stuff is still cool. But for the Dynasty player, this is an absolute game changer. And, there's a lot of cool tools out there, and a lot of them were sort of, trade calc, been done before. We're stealing that idea or whatever. We're doing that, but we're also putting our own twist on it in terms of using a market value, approach and allowing people to sort of see, hey, based off of what we're seeing at market, here's where the opportunities are. So all these things that were sort of ideas that we were like, we can do it, but we can do it this way or do it better. And we're doing that with blood, sweat, and tears, because it's not like we're heavily invested in. So this is really, still a labor of love, and really grateful to be doing it with y'all. So thank you.
I think you hit on like a really important point, and I don't want to, I don't want to minimize any other feature, but the trade calculator is going to be super sweet, because you're going to be able to use all your other trade calculators, and you're going to run it against ours, and you're going to get very different results.
True.
So like, this is probably a trick people are using anyways, right? Where they have a trade calculator they trust, and they look at a keep trade cut and, find out what works.
That one to my buddy.
Cut. Yeah, exactly. Right. Meanwhile, like, you can just, it's a great place to check yourself versus like the crowdsourced market value, as opposed to people who think really critically about this game. And there's an edge right there. Just in the trade calculator game, right. You're going to be able to play with our website. Forget all the other data, which is super sick. Forget about the model, which is the best wide receiver model in the business, right? Just that alone, you're going to find use in this website. And then when you start clicking around and finding the other tools, that's when you're going to really establish, I think, a gigantic edge in our game.
Bingo.
Yeah, it's been so fun, man. Like, I've learned that our team is very complimentary. You know what I mean? I think we all bring such great things to the table, and I think
Joe brings the credit card. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, thank you for that, Joe. It's incredible. It's imperative, to be honest with you.
We were building up that aristocrat thing for a long time until we finally believed it.
Yeah.
You know what? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Absolutely.
We should talk about titles, by the way.
Yeah, you're paying it off now, Joe. Yeah, you're paying off.
You're the treasurer.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
CFO is you, buddy.
Yep,
Yeah,
CFO, big F.
Yeah.
I was thinking a different letter in that.
But yeah, I think like what that does is that just makes it super fun. And like I think the way Coder said it was really good is he says he's the one who builds all of these tools and he can't wait to see people using them. And we're the ones who get on the screen and share them with those people who are going to use them. And so I think that in a nutshell is just a really good good way to describe our team. And it's not just us. We're bringing over some people too, like Derek Fuchs. He fucks, and he's coming over with us. Dukes, Dukes. He's the brand manager. He is who I talk to about everything as far as look and feel of brand, and all of our brand graphics go through him, including our banger logo. Grindberg's coming, Dev's coming. Oh, fuck, I'm gonna forget somebody. It's gonna be terrible, boys. We got a bunch of the crew, and we're really, really excited. We got some people working on the socials. We got some
Marcus.
And Curdy's going to be doing the Discord stuff and some roster review stuff. We actually have roster review. So Curdy, OG, and
the Discord,
and Matt Chester,
Discord specifically.
Yes.
Get in there, please, because it's a free Discord. We just opened it back up today. You talked about Coder being a Dynasty gamer. Coder's one of the most active people in there, and he's also spending his time building all of this shit for us, and he's chatting Dynasty at all times.
Talk to him. It's like crazy.
Our Discord is free. I have pinned it at the top of our Twitter, and I will put it on the other socials as well. I'll put it in the description of this video, so please join the Discord. That's the first place to find things. I even put in some exclusive screenshots of the Cogniscenti that I only shared in the Discord today. So please get in there. We've always said we want to build community around the work that we do, and that's the place that we're going to do it.
Yeah, and we're going to do, like I said, roster review and roster help. You have a big money league, and we're going to create some ways to tap into some people that like Matt Chester, who I think Matt, I can tell you, is one of the best players there is. And the cool thing about Matt is he's got a unique way of looking at things and a unique way of building rosters, and I've seen it done, and it's very impressive. And so being able to, we can only talk so much about specificities on this program. We can't talk to you about your specific roster. How is that possible? But we can do that, behind the curtain, and we're going to try and make that available to those that want that as well, which is a ton of fun. So
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, thanks, boys. I didn't necessarily mean for this segment to turn into a big on the clock fantasy ad, but I felt like our first episode in the new era, it made some good sense to kind of explain it to the people and let them know what we got going on, and just to make sure that they know that it's the same great shit, just more great shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm super excited, and this is where the rubber's hitting the road, boys.
Definitely more. I mean, how many times did we, reference the lunch pails? A lot. So more lunch pails.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
for the dollar, really.
Yeah, I might even do something with the lunch pail scale in the near future, boys. Just stay tuned.
The lunch pail model.
Yeah. Don't fucking talk to him.
Tight ends,
Don't blow it for me now, Jax. It's supposed to be a surprise, man. So let's get into it, boys. We got a few more minutes left. It's getting fucking late here.
Yep.
I'm going to give us a few names to look at trades in the Cogniscenti for, because we did ask the people, so we've got to do right by them. Hitting the Discord first, so make sure you get in there if you want to ask us questions. I'll throw them out in the Q&A channel, and you can fire away in there. Getting in. Okay, there was a bunch, boys, but let's talk about some of these guys first. Jackson Dart was the first one that came up on the list. You guys want to see some trades that have come through with Jackson Dart? Because I have one. Do it.
No, you go ahead. I made one.
Well, if you made one, then let's start off with the one that you made, and then we'll look at other real trades.
Okay, so I traded.
Maybe yours will pop up in the trade finder, Jax.
Yeah, see if it does. See if it does. It's Jackson Dart, and I got in a fourth, and I gave up JJ McCarthy, Rashee Rice, and the 205.
I don't see it, but JJ McCarthy,
Rashee Rice, and the 205 this year.
I was
Dart and a fourth, whatever. So Dart, basically.
I think that's pretty nice. Get off of JJM.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a give up there, but I think that's a Bo Nix team.
Yeah.
Everything going on with Rashee too, and God knows it's just like another offseason of question marks with that guy. So just get the headache off of your team and lock up your QB. I like it.
Thank you. Yeah, it was another Dart. Feels good.
On January 24th, somebody pulled something similar. They acquired Jackson Dart and a fourth for Kyle Pitts, Bryce Young, and a 2026 third. So maybe they might not have paid even quite as much as you, Jax, but they got the same package as you. So point is, get yourself some Jackson Dart, because his price is probably going to go up in the next few years. Jackson Dart in a second for Devon Achane in Superflex. Wow. Interesting. I'm taking the Jackson Dart side on that.
For sure.
Oh, JSN for Dart Egbuka, a second and a third.
Wow.
Superflex?
Superflex.
Yeah, give me Dart, Egbuka, and Hicks.
Yeah, no kidding. Holy
I mean, it's
cow.
a second and a third, so it's not necessarily full-on premium. Both 27s, though. So, yeah, I like that. Yep. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Wandale Robinson was one that was put on the list. That's interesting.
Tell you what, that's actually I like hearing that one, because I bet you're going to see some Wandale opportunities that are very cheap, and you're getting that Cortland Sutton effect. Nobody wants to pay for it, but then you end up getting fantasy points.
Well, Wandale's a free agent, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
So
is that right?
Yeah. So it's a question of where he's going to be playing. We just talked about the diminishing role for these slot guys, but we also saw Wandale expand his game quite a bit this year in the absence of Malik Neighbors. So it's an interesting one for sure.
It is. And I think the quarterback play is better. He's got 140 targets in back-to-back seasons.
It's insane.
Or
he can handle the workload, and he showed more downfield prowess than I thought he had this season. They were throwing him legit fucking bomb deep balls, and
he went from like 600 yards to 1,000 yards with the same amount of targets. So
this one has us written all over it. Wandale and Troy Franklin for RJ Harvey. Yeah, that's interesting.
Fair.
I think I'm going. I think the upside still lies with Harvey. Yeah, you just want the premium piece there. When it's all middling pieces, you want the best one, right?
Not only that, if you can get rid of 2 middling wide receivers for a running back, you can start. That's the trade you want to make, right? You want the running backs on your team. You want to get as many premium wide receivers as possible and get rid of the middle class as much as possible for other startable assets.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. On January 22nd, somebody paid a 26 third to get Wandale. I think I would do that.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
A 26 third? Yeah. I don't know who that's going to be yet. Ask me again in like March. Maybe no. But I still feel like Wandale's going to be better than that.
You might be all bricked up on this year's Jarquez Hunter, and that might be a hard no. A real hard no.
Right. Which is why you should do it right now, because Jarquez Hunter scored exactly 0 fantasy points.
Okay, also, though, like about 2 weeks ago, somebody acquired DJ Moore for Wandale, and I think I'm on the DJ Mo money side of that with my projection that he leaves the Bears this year.
He's got to leave the Bears. Boy, oh boy, he's a bummer last couple of years.
It was.
Complete bummer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Down the stretch, especially in the playoffs, he kind of was the go-to, at least in that.
But you already gave up on him by that point.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you didn't get any fantasy points for that. Like, he's just been a bummer. Like, even when he's played well, it's been inconsequential to fantasy gamers. It's like,
and then 2 years ago, he was great. Last year was terrible.
Exactly.
Okay, this one's really good, boys. I think this is just a really good conversation in general. Cam Ward. His value is very interesting to me because I do like what they did at the coaching staff with Saleh and Dable. I hate the vaunted defensive head coach and offensive coordinator combination because Dable's going to be looking for his head coaching gig. But I think those are both 2 stable, experienced coaches to come in for Cam Ward, and I think that's probably what the kid needs. What did you guys think of those hires?
I think it's great hire. I think Dable, and Cam Ward is an interesting fit because Cam's not as mobile as we've seen his quarterbacks of late, but maybe he's going to encourage a little bit more running from him. So I think it probably I'm fairly certain it's going to raise his floor. He's going to be one of those guys that I don't think he's lost too much value. And I think, he's an easy guy to make excuses for this past year. But you got to imagine a drastic improvement. We saw it as soon as the Callahans got fired. He improved, right? So maybe that's just regular rookie progression. But I think he's holding value pretty well, and this certainly helps.
Yeah, I'm totally buying Cam Ward right now. I think it can only really go up.
Not only that, I mean, who was he? 2 4th-round picks. 2 4th-round picks were his top 2 receivers, right? And you were talking about that with Pat, right? Right, Jax? It's like there wasn't really anything there for him to work with aside from, Chigakonkwo.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to think about Cam Ward. I'm agnostic. I've got a couple of shares. I'm not. Let me hear some of these trades. You might be able to get Cam Ward off my hands.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything that was like fully jumping out, but let's see here. Okay, this one's hilarious. Has to be a joke. It's one quarterback. Cam Ward and a 28 4th for Riley Leonard.
Yeah. What the fuck are we even
There's a
talking
big
about?
Riley Leonard's brother made that
Right.
trade. Okay. Cam Ward, Marvin Harrison, and a 26 first, a mid one for Jaden Daniels.
Cam Ward, Marvin Harrison, and a 26 first for Daniels.
A mid first, yeah.
I think I'm taking Daniels' side.
I think I'm still on Daniels too.
Yeah.
I just think the ultimate upside of what he can bring.
Yeah, it's like
but I think there are question marks around him.
Were like, oh, okay, well, at least I've got like you could end up with a bottom 10 quarterback, one of those middling receivers that we're talking about that doesn't actually move the needle, and I don't know, like some running back that is Kenyon Sadiq that doesn't pan out. Like you could just have a guy that doesn't pan out in the mid first.
Do we know what the pick is? What pick was
it? Mid.
Just mid. Yeah, which if it's like the 4 or 5, I'd take
probably mid.
Then I'd start to think about it. If it's after like 7, 7 or 8, then I definitely don't. I'd take the Daniel side.
Yeah.
Ooh, Cam Ward for Malik Willis in 2 seconds.
See, this
Malik
is what's
Willis right now.
I think it's close, right?
Yeah.
I think I've made clear how I feel about Malik Willis on this podcast before. And hashtag Joe was right.
Yeah, I shit on that for sure. Hashtag Trav was wrong.
I mean, so what do you think now?
I definitely want to see where he lands. But, it seems like he's destined to get a starting gig this offseason, right? There is a shortage of starting quarterbacks. And he's performed well enough where he deserves one of these shots. And there's not any starters. There's probably one starter in the NFL draft. So he's going to get a shot, whether it's New York or Miami or Arizona or the Rams. If Stafford retires, like there's a lot of possibilities. I don't think the last one is realistic, but there are a lot of places where he'd be so much fun.
I mean, I tend to think I'd take the Malik Willis in 2 seconds. And it sounds like maybe, yeah. And like, how do you lose that trade? The only way you lose that trade is if like Cam Ward ends up being a top 12 Dynasty quarterback. Because even if he's just, if he's good and he's fine, he's the, quarterback 18 to 20-ish, which is what we think he could be, right? The rushing upside not there. But if even if Malik Willis bombs out, you still have 2 seconds. I mean, not that I'd sell Cam Ward straight up. Not that I'd sell Cam Ward straight up for 2 seconds, but I'd think about it a little bit, depending if they're like 2:27 seconds or something. I'd be like, could be a way to get off him and re-roll. I mean, am I going to get a first, type of thing? You got me?
Not only that, there's asymmetrical upside. You're getting the floor. The 2 seconds is your floor, right? And then you've got this upside of Malik Willis where he can run. He's proven to be a pretty efficient passer who has gotten, better with his time on the bench. And so maybe he flames out, or maybe he's like what we wanted Justin Fields to be, right? Where he's just dropping 30-point games without the catastrophic throwing.
And you know what you can get with a single second sometimes is like a Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers type of quarterback. Mm-hmm. So even if it ends up crapping out, you can still retain a second and still get quarterback play for half the value of your floor. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's Malik Willis in 2 seconds for me, which is kind of crazy because, that would have sounded stupid before last season, right?
That would have sounded stupid 3 months ago.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right, boys. I think that's where we're going to cut the piss off. It has been a blast getting back in the lab with you guys. It had been too long. I'd been thinking about this intro for too long, and we finally got it in the books. got some stuff on tape and it felt great, boys.
Yeah.
This was fun to kick this off, and it's only the beginning for OTC Fantasy, everybody. So make sure you check out all the links that I'm going to put in that description there. Follow us on the socials, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's a huge way to help us. It's been a great start to the YouTube channel off that first episode of Undrafted, and we hope this episode just keeps building that momentum to the motherfucking moon. So thanks to everybody who's listened. Thanks to all of our old Undroppable supporters who have come with us. We can't thank you enough, and can't thank you for all of those years of support that you gave us. And thank you to everybody who has shown support for OTC as we've launched, because the support has been massive, and it just makes us feel so good about what we've got amazing. Going on. Yeah. So any parting shots, boys?
Well, Joe, you did get me to go on a tirade about Bill Belichick, so congratulations.
With that, I'm gonna clock out.
Yeah, I don't think that took too much convincing there, Jax. But for the wise man, Jax Falcone, who may or may not be insufferable in roughly 8 days' time,
we'll see.
Or for the next until the Super Bowl.
I know.
And who are we kidding? Forever thereafter as well.
Yeah. I was gonna say, this never ends. This is
perpetually, yeah. And for Joe Quavius, I am Trav. For Coder as well, we will see you next week. Peace, love, and